Welcome to the latest episode of PrivacyCast Season 3. In this episode, we're going to talk about GRC, Governance, Risk and Compliance, with none other than Kush Kaushik, the co-founder of Scrut. So today, I'm your host, Akarsh Singh. I'm the founder of Saro, also one of the people in IVP Asia Advisory Boards, also maybe, IVP Bangalore chapter chair. I am deep into data privacy, but I love talking about GRC because GRC is super connected with privacy, and privacy kind of also rolls up sometimes in terms of control functions to GRC. So it's amazing to know more. And as privacy professionals, all of us would like to know something from Kush that is important for all of us, right? Isn't it, guys? And let's get going. Let's deep dive into our session today. So today we have none other than Kush Kaushik. Kush has been an instrumental in leveraging automation. So basically, why we talk about Scrut a lot. By the way, we kind of implement Scrut a lot as Saro as well, wherever we have a GRC client. So when we work with Scrut, I think one thing that is very important that we see is everybody talks about automation, right? How do we make your control functions easier, right? Faster. So I think that is something that Scrut is doing really, really well. And I have to give it to Kush and team. So Kush, would you also like to introduce yourself to all our listeners?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Akash, for having me here. So my name is Kush Kaushik. I have been into this compliance industry for more than 15 years with a total experience of more than 20 years. I have worked in IT-enabled services organization, large banking, fintech organizations. And for last 14 years, I have been into the GRC space, the compliance related with information security, privacy, including SOC 2, HIPAA, GDPR, ISO 27001. PIMS privacy.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think probably all the terminologies have been hit, right, Kush? So I'll ask you to give us more information about these terminologies, so our people, our listeners, can get more insights, right, into how do we automate these things, right? So, Kush, my first thought of the day, and maybe our listeners want to hear from you. The first thing is, what is GRC, Kush?
So, GRC is nothing but governance, risk, and compliance. The organizations today are supposed to make sure that they identify all their risks which are related to security and privacy. And the whole GRC is for making sure that they identify the risk, threats, and take mitigation plans. But what is happening today is the whole GRC becomes so manual process that the teams of the GRC teams are more wasting their time or spending their time more on making sure that the evidence artifacts, policies, those are updated. And they are not able to spend more time on perceiving new risks, new threats, which are emerging every day.
Yeah, and I think that is a great point that you flagged is today's teams. And I'll tell you honestly about my team and my consulting work. I think one thing that we are very concerned about, and probably I think this is a counter question probably to you, is one thing that we are very concerned about is GRC has become so big, right? GRC, including privacy, has become so big. There are so many functions that half of the time goes in, just managing this, Excels, formats, evidence, right? Then internal audit will come, then some other auditor will come, right? So half of the time, rather than flagging risk and fixing the risk, half of the time we are just making sure that we are surviving this, right? So what's your take on that? And what should we do about it? And what are the other issues that you see in GRC today, Kush?
The GRC team, it depends. There are three kinds of organization: a basic level, intermediate level, and an advanced level. Based on these, the team size of the GRC team can be from maybe 1 to maybe 20 people. And a lot of time, the GRC team, if they don't have an automation in place, they are just working around in making sure that the evidences are kept proper. And they're not able to have a full picture of the risks which might be there or threats which might be there in their whole landscape. So it is very important to have automation in GRC space with the coming times. And as you see, the organizations are becoming more cloud native.
So automation, right? So automation is a great word, and I think this is what we're here to talk about today. So see, what happens, Kush, is every other company that I go for consulting with, right? And as a consultant, I keep doing so many clients, right? So every day we're talking. And even before this, I was in KPMG, right? I'll tell you honestly, like since 6 years that I have done all my career, and I have talked to so many people, whoever I've talked to, everybody talks about this one word, which is automation. Everybody wants that. But honestly, how achievable it is, right? How achievable is an automation? right? Because there are different types of organizations also, right? So a small organization, as you were mentioning, so would you like to tell us more about, is it actually possible or is it not possible, and what size of organization it is possible, where it is not possible? Yeah, Kush.
Okay. So automation is possible for any size of organization. As I mentioned before, I treat organizations into three buckets. The first one is a basic, where they are a startup or just founded the company. The second level is intermediate, where they start taking risks seriously, try to have a dedicated GRC person. And the third one is advanced, which is they have a full-fledged GRC team. So for automation, all these three kinds of industry, it is possible to automate the whole GRC operations. I can help you explain it with an example. I was working with an organization about 6 months back. They had 800 EC2 instances and 400 RDS instances on AWS. Now, just imagine maintaining compliance for 1,200 servers is not an easy task. It cannot be done manually. You need to have automation to make sure you know what threats are emerging on a daily basis. So this actually helps in identifying new threats, number one. The other automation piece is it will help you guide to make sure that you achieve the requirements which are there in the standards like 27,000, ISO 27001 or GDPR. Why? Because there are evidence tasks, and if a activity has to be done on quarterly basis, maybe an access review. I've seen so many organizations, they miss on access review. Why? Because they don't get to know that it was becoming due. So these automation tasks can help you streamline your GRC process with minimum effort and making sure the compliance is perfect.
Okay, so basically, like if I kind of summarize this, is automation works to kind of make sure that first of all controls can be tested faster, and also that controls are maintained over the period of time, right? If it's an access issue, or also if it's a configuration issue, as you have mentioned, right? Yeah. When we are doing config reviews in EC2 instances or similar instances in Azure or wherever, yeah. So basically you can directly use a tool, right? And I want to keep Scrut out of this discussion right now, right? Yeah. Any tool, right? Any tool in the market, be it Vanta, be it OneTrust, be it Big ID, whatever tools are there for GRC. If you use a tool, integrate their cloud instances to a central management and integrate our accesses, right? Our AD, yeah. Our Active Directories to the tool, then the tool can automatically review, create evidence. Yes. And so basically, especially I think the biggest problem that we are solving is also the SOC 2 type 2, right? Because in SOC 2 type 2 and HIPAA, you need like a lot of evidences to share, right? Compared to an ISO, or definitely an ISO, but it kind of eases you out. So it's also saving. It's not just automating HIPAA and compliance, it's also saving man hours and something that a human being would do where you don't know how good the evidence is, and that is a big issue. And I think that's moving on. I think then, right? So also I think you flagged one issue, right? Why we need GRC tool as such, right? What are these big issues that you see in industries today? Why do you have? So my question to you is, why do clients would come to a GRC automation platform and say, hey, I need the automation platform, right? So what are these big issues that you see? One thing is manpower, we agreed. Second thing is managing automation, where we can do some. What are the third and fourth and fifth things, Kush?
So you have seen so since you are into the consulting space also, Akash, so you might have seen for a very small organization, when you go for their implementation of privacy or security, they would actually put in front a person who might be a CTO or DevOps head, and they think that this person is the one who can help us. And eventually, see, a lot of us CISOs have come to the domain like this only. Why? They had good communication skill. They knew more about technology, or they were from the IT infrastructure team, and then they became CISO. So with the help of automation, what you can achieve is
so CISOs need to work harder, right? So
no, less hard, less. So CISOs would have actually less effort to be spent, but better coverage. So it will give you a bird eye view on your security landscape, threats which are coming, and also these threats are updated on periodic basis. So the threats, whatever new threats are also coming, gets updated in the database, and when the next test starts through automation testing, it happens with the help of the new signature of the threats. So it helps in identifying all the latest vulnerabilities and threats.
Okay, I'm trying to I'm trying to understand, and get more into it, because you have raised a lot of issues that we see. Because one of the issues that we see also is education, right? And we're not just talking to a junior level, right? We're talking about education from junior to senior level, right? How educated are we to kind of actually drive a GRC compliance in an organization? Because a lot of people, and I'll honestly tell you one more thing that I want to talk about is it's not just that. And one thing that I find really, if I look at a CTO, right? If I today look at a CTO job or a CEO job, the job is to manage a few things that run in a certain direction, right? And tools keep changing. But if I look at cyber, the world keeps changing, right? If you look at IDS, then there is a world, there is another C. If you look at privacy, there is another C. Then in privacy, if you look at something, there is another C. In GRC, everything is an ocean, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to become expert, as a CISO also, right? If I look at CISOs today, a lot of came from VAPTs, right? A lot of CISOs came from GRC. A lot of CISOs, came from some other domain, IDS, IPS. So overall, also, right? Again, not commenting on. I'm not here to tell how much CISOs know. I feel they know a lot, right? But I also feel that they also come from one specific domain, right? So overall education, they are also learning. Everybody is learning in our field, right? Because if they know something, then something else they may not know, right? So how do we kind of fix that gap? And using a tool maybe, right, today gives people more standardized approach towards solving their GRC as a CISO, as a head of GRC, as whatever heads. I feel like that is also a huge factor, Kush, right? So that is my perspective also, 2 cents right into your thought process. Is a huge factor is a standardized approach towards a GRC, right? Which kind of I feel is also a huge factor, because even as a CEO, when I have a CISO, I also want to make sure that he does the right thing, right? And that can also happen because of using a tool, right? When he's doing a standardized approach. And I feel like if the price of the tool is right, and I feel that, honestly, I feel the Indian tools are priced really, really, in a much better fashion compared to
Competitive.
a tool from the US or in Europe, because I have been seeing comparative pricings right around in industry and adoption of. So I feel like an Indian tool definitely, and again, not to support India as such here, like hashtag Make in India, we support it, by the way, but still, right? So end of day, kind of talking about a bit of pricing, I feel like we are very better placed, especially for the Indian market, right? Right now I'm talking about Indian market. So very, very nicely placed here, right? So kind of solving
Since
that
you have
problem.
discussed about Indian market, I want to add one thing. So for Indian markets, where are we expanding a lot? India has been a leader today in fintech. If you see, a lot of fintech companies are coming. The companies which are there in India, they're expanding.
We have same clients also now.
Yeah. So in fintech, you see, every Friday or every fortnight, there will be a new regulation or compliance requirement coming from RBI. And there are so many frameworks. So if I'm into fintech, I might have to go for PCI DSS for MasterCard and Visa compliance, ISO 27001, RBI Master Guideline Cybersecurity Framework.
So Kush, when do you sleep? So
what? So when do you sleep? I can sleep because I know I have automated the GRC compliance for my clients, and they are able to actually utilize the same compliance for different frameworks. So you don't have to do. So if there are 5 compliance requirements, it's not 5x, but it will be maybe 1.5x or 1.7x effort. Why? Because there are a lot of areas which are common, and you're ready to face the audit any day. You don't have to prepare. You don't have to spend time on the GRC activities and focus more into future threats and risks which can be there for the organization.
Sure. By the way, it's great. It has been great talking to you, right? And I think I hope our listeners, got some information into GRC and the major risks that we are seeing right now, right? These are the biggest issues that we have, and also standardizing their approach, getting to the GRC the right fashion is very, very important for all of us. When in privacy, this is the bigger umbrella that we see, right? A lot of times is that control frameworks are implemented right fashion. So internal audit can do the right thing, external auditors can do the right thing. So I feel like, security, by the way, I keep testing. So in every PIA that I have, I test 70% of security controls, right? In every privacy impact assessment that I do, I test 70% of security controls because privacy is, end of the data protection, right? So looking at other than obviously human rights, right? Human right controls, even we look at it, it's a lot of data protection that we see. Obviously, it goes really, really technical when you look at data discovery and stuff, but still, right? I feel like some controls of security I test in privacy, and I think it's very important for us, PrivacyCast, also to learn from you and take some information back home and implement things in a better fashion. And and that is also all for today. And as we wrapped up this episode of PrivacyCast Season 3, we hope that our discussions benefits your GRC automation, right, or your privacy automation. Tomorrow, folks, we extend our gratitude to Kush Kaushik, the co-founder of Scrut, for sharing his expertise and simplifying our thought process. And until next time, guys, stay connected. And we'll come back with even a better episode of PrivacyCast to give you more hint and information of how this industry really works. And thank you everyone for listening to us. And thank you, and I'll see you again, guys.
Thank you, Akash.